Hello and welcome to another At the Chalkface episode. And it's an exciting one this week. We've got one of our main sponsors for the Craig and Dave Festival of Computing with us. It's Chris from VEX Robotics. Give us a wave, Chris. If you're listening on the podcast, he is waving. So yeah, I mean, we've been really delighted this year to get a load of sponsors to our festival. And if you haven't heard about our festival yet, please head over to craiganddave.org. It's all over there. Biggest secondary festival in computing education in this country. It's been getting bigger every year. But as I said, we're delighted this year to have a number of sponsors, including VEX Robotics. So we have brought Chris on, and we're gonna grill you, Chris, with a few questions. Nothing too serious. Yeah, really just an opportunity to let everyone know, if they don't know about the great stuff you do, what you're doing, what you're going to be doing specifically at the festival, what you've got to offer teachers in general. So, I mean, let's get into it. I guess let's start firstly, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about VEX Robotics and what you do.
So VEX has been around for quite a while now. We're a US-based company, and the roots are in competitive robotics. So specifically educational competitive robotics. So, lots of different types of competitive robotics out there, including the things that the people naturally think of, like robot wars and BattleBots and things like that. But educational competitive robotics, so the idea of teaching engineering, computing, and so on through some sort of robotics competition, has been a big thing in the US for a long time. It's also big all around the world. But VEX started off specifically in competitive robotics, so making parts for competitive robotics teams, and over the years that has morphed into the beast that it is today, which is still largely rooted in competitive robotics. That's a big part of what VEX does, but also hardware for teaching, specifically for teaching, and that works all the way from early years right the way up to college level. So lots and lots of different products, and most importantly, probably the resources and things that go with that. So how you actually teach with robotics in computing, the teacher guides, the training, the online CPD, all that kind of thing, and that's now what VEX does. So we do software, we do resources, we do hardware, basically everything that you need to be able to use robotics, either in that extracurricular environment and competitive robotics, or in the classroom.
I was going to drill down on that a little bit with you, Chris, because when I hear the words competition, it kind of feels a little bit intimidating. I used to play loads of online games. I'm a bit of an old school gamer. But I've noticed as I've got older over the years, I've become less and less competitive, to the point where my children can now beat me comprehensively. So I wouldn't dare go and put myself in online environments and compete with others, because I would just get my backside kicked. Let's put it that way. So for teachers out there that are thinking, oh, competitive robotics, I don't know anything about robotics, so I don't know that this is really for me, because I wouldn't know even where to start with it. Can you perhaps just break down a little bit the non-competitive elements for teachers who think, well, we might get to competition later, but right now we just want to dip our toes in and see what this is all about?
Yeah. So, robotics has a lot of areas from an educational point of view that are covered. So the obvious ones are computing. These things have to be programmed in some way, so that there's the direct computing link, and design technology, so the process of actually designing and building something. But something we have done over the years is moved. So construction sets is kind of like where we came from. That's our big thing, and that's predominantly driven by the competitive robotics element. But over the years, we've kind of understood that in the classroom environment, if you want to use robotics, you want to explore robotics, it's better quite often to have something that you can just get out of the box and use for an hour, without any worry about what's going to happen if it gets knocked off the table. Is it going to smash into 1,000 pieces? I'm going to have to rebuild it. Or is it going to be something that we can just pick up and use? And so that's where we've gone with our classroom robotics, things that are much easier to just pick up and use, and really they're intended to be as accessible as possible. And so by that I mean, with our classroom robots, you turn them on, you connect to them either via a USB cable or a Bluetooth connection. You can program them in a block-based, graphical programming environment, so really easy and accessible. But also at the same time, if we want to do Python coding, or we want to do use more advanced development tools, so using VS Code and things to program them, then we can do that. So there's a really accessible classroom robots where you haven't got to worry about competition, you haven't got to think about as you say, getting your butt whipped by everyone else who knows what they're doing. Up and use it in a much more kind of casual environment, and take what you want from it. If you want to think, you want a slightly more visual and exciting way to to teach doing if and else selection, then great. There's sensors on the robot that allow you to do that. If you want to want to focus on a specific area of computer science, then you can do that and just make it kind of a bit more visual, bit more hands-on.
It's a fun way, isn't it, of just bringing some of those theoretical things a little bit more to life in a way that's a bit more. Today we're going to do this. It's making that connection. I hope you don't mind me saying we were privileged and honoured to judge one of your regional VEX Robotics competitions. And although we keep saying competition, your question, Dave, that competitive element, I would say, yes, it was a competition and there was a league board and everything. But going round that day and speaking to all the students and the teams and the teachers, that day was far more about the soft skills, which we wish more students had, like collaboration, team building, working together. They were all so keen. Yes, it was in a competition, but and you say you don't even need to start with that. But I would say that day was really more about the those side of things, the skills we really want to get into students. So
the soft skills are probably the bigger part that students actually end up taking away. Whilst it's a great application of all of the the science, the D&T, the computer science, knowledge is applied in it, and that is a big part of it. I think the soft skills are vast, and to call it a competition, it is a competition. There are winners, and people do have matches where they play against each other and so on. Did you judge the IQ competition or the V5 competition?
The V. I think it was the V5 competition
V5 with the metal robots.
Yeah, and the one thing that struck me about the day that I wasn't expecting at all, because I just thought it would be school versus school, but and there was an element of that, but also there was this nature where the schools had to join with another school and they competed in the same arena. So they had two completely different robots and they had to strategize and think about the strengths and weaknesses of each robot.
And they didn't know how they were going to be paired up until the day, did they? That was right.
That's right. They weren't paired up until the day, and then they had to sort of work with each other to try and get to the next round. And it was quite an interesting format.
Yeah, it's a massive part of it. And we have two different competition programs, just mentioned them there. So we have what's called the IQ competition, VEX IQ Robotics competition, and the VEX V5 Robotics competition. The IQ competition is used in Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. And then the V5 competition, which you guys judged, is used in Key Stage 3, 4, and 5. And there are differences between them in terms of the level of competition. So the IQ competition is entirely collaborative. So every single match that is played, there is two robots on the field, randomly paired, so they don't necessarily, not necessarily from the same school, unlikely to be from the same school, probably haven't met each other before that day. And each match they play, they're randomly paired and they're collaborating. They have to work together to score points. So what in that moment when they're on the field competing, that is not a versus situation. It's a collaborative situation. And so for Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3, that's how it's pitched. In the V5 competition, the age group up from that, each match is a 2v2 match. But again, like you say, the collaboration, two robots are paired together to work together to play against the other alliance, the other pairing. And so again, there's a huge amount of collaboration there. And the great thing about these competition programs is they're structured in such a way that nobody can win without collaborating. you can't just blunder through. You could turn up with the best robot. You're very unlikely to be able to win without collaboration. So what that does is it breeds a culture where experienced teams have to support new teams because they're their partners. At some point, they will be their partners, and they are their route to success. The
So a
success of every team
mentoring style role. Yeah.
right, exactly, yeah. And it means, what you see at a competition as a result of that is teams will be talking to each other, sharing knowledge, sharing advice on how to best score points and so on when they're working together in those matches. They'll lend each other parts if they need it. Someone's like, "Oh, I could do with this extra piece, but we don't have it," and it's like, "Well, we've got that, and you're playing with us, so let's make this happen." And so, it is collaborative. We call it a competition. It is a competition. There are winners, but without the collaboration, you can't be successful. So that does help new teams to get involved.
Exactly. And this idea of the stronger teams supporting the weaker teams because they inevitably end up working with each other was a really strong element. But I would say even in the judging, although, yes, it's a points-based system in the sense that, you get points for putting hoops on rings and things like this, protecting an area of the arena and all sorts of things like this. It's all going on, a variety of ways of scoring points. But crucially, also from a judging perspective, it was more than just the points. We spent time talking to the students and understanding that the journey that they've been on and, some of the strengths and weaknesses and frustrations and problems and how they overcame them. And they told us their story. And that counted for an awful lot when it came to how well, we ended up judging the teams. And, certainly in sort of tiebreaker situations, it came down to those soft skills.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you didn't know what VEX was, I imagine you're very excited by now. So I'm going to shift the focus of the interview a little bit and talk to you more swiftly about the Festival of Computing and sort of your involvement and what people can expect to see if they're coming along. So firstly, what inspired you or what led you to even sort of get involved with the Festival of Computing? Because it's not your first time. You've been with us, I think, since the beginning. So what inspired you to get involved in the Festival of Computing?
Yeah, so I wasn't aware of the event until BET 2025, where I met Johnny. And if anyone needs someone to be inspiring, I think he's your man. So yeah, so that's where the first contact came from. And I think. It's an incredible event. Having been there last year, it's an incredible event. But I think Johnny could probably make anything sound exciting. So there was
He is. I'm going to show my age now. He's the Del Boy. He's the Del Boy and Rodney Trotter of the computer science educational world. You're absolutely correct. A quick shout out to the indomitable Johnny Palmer, who we literally could not run the festival without. Who that man doesn't know is not worth knowing. Okay, so I didn't actually.
He got me excited about the idea. He sold it to me in a brilliant. He made it sound as exciting as it turned out to be. It was an incredible event.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'll say thank you very much. It's only the second year you've ever done it. So, and the first year we'd called it the Festival of Computing. So thank you for being in it. Obviously, this year you've you've stepped up and you very kindly put some cash behind the event, and you are one of our main sponsors. So thank you very much. So, I mean, maybe tell us, which particular part of the festival are you sponsoring, and more generally, what can people expect to see from VEX this year at the festival?
Yeah. Okay. So we're sponsoring the pre-event social, the curry supper, which is the night before the main event, and so that's something we actually missed out on last year. We weren't at the pre-event social. I think we arrived late from a different event. So we heard a lot of good things about it, and so yeah, great to be involved with that this year. And then of course we'll have our stand in the exhibition space, and I'll be running a workshop as well. So looking forward to all of those things.
What's the workshop on? I should know because I put the whole website together, but there's like 40 workshops. So excuse me for not having double checked it. But yeah, what are you delivering your workshop on if people sign up for that?
So we'll be doing, we're doing some physical computing. So we've got some what we call the VEX AIM robots. That's one of our classroom specific robots. And I thought, given that the festival is slap bang in the middle of the World Cup, it would be nice to be topical there and bring a football related link. So that'll be using VEX AI, VEX AIM, which has an AI vision camera, AI vision element to it, and we're going to do some football related AI robotics themes with that. So that's going to be really interesting. So basically playing a bit of robot football and getting that World Cup link in there.
That sounds great. So teachers can get hands-on at the festival and they can see VEX Robotics in person and have conversations with you and your team about getting started, what it's all about, and taking those first steps. So if you're thinking about introducing any kind of robotics into either your curriculum or extracurricular provision, or you're looking for opportunities to work cross-curricular with other subjects, whether that's design, technology, or art, or anybody else for that matter, then this is a great opportunity to come along, find out a little bit more, and get involved. So, Chris, I guess the three key words for our festival, if somebody asked me to sum it up, would be inspiration, innovation, collaboration. And I think we've probably covered those three things already. But in terms of maybe some innovations, tell us a little bit more about some of the latest developments that you've got. So you just mentioned VEX AIM, which is a new sort of artificial intelligence element. But I noticed you've also got VEX Air, which looks quite interesting. Tell us about that.
VEX Air is not launched yet. That's in development and for launch later this year. VEX Air is a drone. It's a programmable drone. There's come and gone a fair few programmable drones along the way. Nothing's ever really stuck. There is still a few out there, but VEX Air is a combination of what we do in classroom robotics and what we do with our competitive robotics. So what will happen is there will be a drone competition linked to VEX Air, which will be similar to our robotics competitions in that there will be matches to play. There will be a specific game that you need to program the drone to be able to play, and then like our classroom robots, there will also be curriculum and specific computing related materials linked to those. So VEX Air, as I said, it's a programmable drone. It has the AI vision elements from the AIM robot that we have already. So that means it has cameras on it that can detect objects and recognize them, and then you can build that into your code to use them for navigation or for collecting objects and this kind of thing. So that's a really exciting development, and that will be launched towards the end of this year.
Fantastic. Wow. Right. I think we've covered what VEX does, the range of things you do, huge, what your involvement is in the festival. I would be reticent if I didn't ask you to selflessly publicize how teachers get in contact with you. Because I mean, if I was hearing this for the first time, I would want to know. So yeah, if there's teachers out there watching this and they want to know, so where do I get started? School club, whatever it is, where do they go? Contact details, website. What's their first steps to find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is vex.com, nice and easy. Yep. So vex.com will take you to our site where you can see all of the products that are available. You've also got links there to all of the classroom materials and so on. If you want to talk more about how you could set up competitive robotics or classroom robotics, feel free to contact me. So that's Chris_Calver at vex.com. And I'll be more than happy to set up a Google Meet or similar to have a little chat about that or answer your questions on email. Absolutely no problem.
Fantastic. We've said this so many times, Dave, isn't it? I mean, it's you just don't know what you don't know. And I'm ashamed to say that until a couple of years ago, I'd never heard of VEX. It's one of those things, you just don't know what you don't know. There was so much great stuff out there, and since being introduced, we met and did an interview with another colleague of yours at BET a couple of years ago. Then judged the competition. Fantastic stuff. So I urge you, if you haven't heard of VEX before and you're looking for extra ways to inspire your learners, a fantastic opportunity, and come along to the festival and check them out for yourselves. I'm going to be a bit unfair and throw one sort of a final question at you. It's one of those lovely interview questions where you're like, oh, I wish you'd warned me about that. For anyone watching, what's the one message you'd like them to take away about what you offer schools? Come on, what's the corporate tagline?
So we have lots of different taglines related to different products, but they are about basically making computing through robotics accessible. Everything is about accessibility, and so the one thing I'd like everyone to take away is this: the whole point in VEX is to make it accessible. If you think that these things might be tricky to get involved with, then do have a chat with us, because we can probably put your mind at rest, and through the resources, through the training, and through the sort of shallow learning curve that the programs have, we can take those fears away, and we can get you up and running quickly and easily, and your students really will reap the benefits of getting involved. So take that fear away is what we do. We make it easy.
Take that fear away. I love that. Any last minute questions from you, Dave? I don't want to cut you off. You've got a burning question you want to get in there.
Not so much a question, just an observation, because I'm fully behind VEX Robotics and your mission and what you do. And I think if you're a teacher in a secondary school who's thinking, oh, my students at Key Stage 3, they just find computing boring. We're looking at declining numbers at GCSE, declining numbers at A level. What can we do to kind of, reinvigorate computing in our school? I think, honestly, VEX Robotics is the answer. The buzz that the students get from just tinkering with the robots, controlling them both manually with a controller and programming them, and then potentially entering them into competitions as well, even internal competitions. It doesn't have to be external competitions. It's just such a buzz, and your students will get so much out of it that they'll want to study the subject further. And I think the final thing that I would say is, this isn't just for boys. When we went to judge the competition at Chipping Campden School, I think the other thing that was really notable was there were all girls teams, and they loved it, and they were competitive, and there were also mixed teams. So this isn't for the boys. This is for everybody. Get involved. The kids will love it. And as teachers, you'll love it too.
Oh yeah, that's it. We can get a bit bored and stale in our teaching sometimes. A chance to reinvigorate you as a teacher is not a bad thing. Look, Chris, thank you ever so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you at the festival. Say, if you want to learn anything more about VEX, vex.com. That has to be the simplest URL I've seen in a long time. Well done on getting that one. And if you want to know more about the festival and to see them in person in July this year, please head over to craigandave.org, where you can grab yourself a ticket. That's it for this week. Right. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.